to the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Hello and welcome to the Killjoys After Show. It's time for Killjoys. I'm joined by my lovely panelist, Zach. I like the dancing.
Finger guns.
I like the dancing with the finger guns.
Yeah, I'm trying to be energetic about this show.
It's great. I'm Yael Tygiel. You can find me everywhere at Yael Tygiel. He's Zach Wilson. You can find him at that Zach Wilson.
That's accurate.
And he is in the chat, right?
I will be.
He will be.
In about 10 seconds.
If you're live in the chat with us, please join us. We're talking...
I'm in the chat.
Nice. We are so excited. We are talking Reckoning Ball, the episode before the season finale.
The penultimate season 3 episode for Killjoys.
Yeah, crazy episode right before the finale.
It's a lot of setup. I mean, we're building into a war. Obviously, we knew we weren't going to get it this week. That's the finale.
I would have been okay with this week being a war and then us dealing with
next
the outcome.
week being the cleanup.
Or like what it means, you know?
Well, either way, that's not what's happening. But it was an interesting episode, a way to get into characters' heads through this like the reckoning tradition.
Yes, and we were told about the reckoning tradition by one of my favorite characters. The lovely Alvis.
I feel like how much you like a character is directly correlated to how much of that character's skin is exposed.
That's generally correct. I mean, also I like good characters.
I mean, I feel like we can ask, we have a first-hand account of if that's effective.
We do. I believe we have guest Morgan Kelly joining us. Hello.
Hello?
Hello! Everyone,
Hey.
Morgan Kelly plays Alvis, or played...
The late Alvis.
The late Alvis.
Right?
I can't believe most of the season Alvis is wearing a shirt. The last 3 episodes we see him, he's not, and then he dies.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe the shirt was protecting him, and it's your fault, Yael. If you hadn't called for him to not be wearing a shirt, Alvis would still be alive.
Yeah, it was knife-proof, the shirt, for sure.
Well, welcome, Morgan. We're so excited to have you. Thank you for joining us. How has it been knowing this season that you're not going to make it?
I mean, I was prepared for it. I knew it was coming, so it wasn't so bad. It was getting the email from Michelle that was kind of like, oh, okay. Okay, we're doing that. Okay, fine. Yeah.
Well, how early in the season did you know? Because the season started with Alvis part of the team kicking ass, and I was like, yeah, he's joining them. How early did you know?
Yeah, I only found out, I think it was a couple weeks before they released, maybe a week or 2 before they released episode 9.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But to be honest, not being a series lead and being a series regular, you always kind of feel like there's a sword hanging over your head. Sarah Power and I had a bet going in season 2 that one of us is going to get whacked, and she clearly won that bet. But
well, she fell victim to the Jacoby curse.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were at the read through, and then when she said the line, "I love you, John," I was like, "Oh, yeah, you're in trouble."
I like that everyone is on board. Like every person involved in the show is like, "Oh yeah, don't fall for John. You're gonna die."
Yeah.
I never say I love you. That's for sure. Yeah.
I was actually Skyping with Kelly, who plays Zeph, and she was saying that when Zeph hits on him, I was like, "No, stop! You're gonna kill her."
And just run. Yeah.
Let's talk about Alvis. He's had this amazing story arc where first we're like, what? There's just this monk who hangs out with them, and then last season he revealed pretty much all of the history and mythology, and then this season, he's part of the team, and Reckoning Night. What a heartbreaking night to die on.
Yeah, I know. And then I finally became friends with Fancy Lee. We were kind of I was like, oh, good, we have some dynamic finally. And then it's like, oh, I finished the script. I was like, oh.
Well, being inside Alvis's head, how did you feel about, like, I've always found it fascinating to watch him, like, especially after the reveal, like, after discovering everything about the truth behind this religion.
About the tree and the Scarbacks.
How do you feel about the character sticking with a lot of these religious traditions, like Reckoning Night, even in spite of, like, knowing the truth behind the trees and the history and everything that it came from?
Yeah, well, I guess, you know, a lot of people look to the Scarbacks in the quad for that, to be that rock. So for him just to you know, it's like my father-in-law, you know, believes in science and religion equally, you know, like so I think to a certain point, Alvis has to take the bitter truth with a grain of salt, knowing that he can't just flip it upside down and kind of ruin everyone's beliefs, so to speak.
That feels like something Alvis would totally do, though. This has been a really fun season with Alvis, and learning more about the Scarbacks and him, and seeing him mentor. What's the girl's name? The blind girl.
Oh, I don't.
Quinn.
Yeah, Quinn. I forgot too. Yeah.
I remembered it all season until today. I'm so proud of myself. Well, now I lost my train of thought. Do we have questions from the chat?
Not right now, but chat, let us know if you do, and I am. I will keep an eye out for them. But were there any moments from this season that, like, stood out to you? Like, now that Alvis, like, got to be more of that badass, was there, like, a favorite scene or thing that you loved doing as you were shooting it?
Yeah, well, I mean, the first episode, running around with a gun, I mean, who doesn't want to do that? You know, like, they finally gave me a gun. They gave me a gun for, like, 2 scenes in season 2. Then it just kind of went away. So I was like, okay. And then this season, first, right off the bat, I got to fight and got the gun and got to shoot people. I was pretty excited about that. I had a, like, choreographed stunt scene. That's kind of what I was hoping for 3 seasons.
That's awesome. We also previously got to see him get a romance going. He was there when Dutch needed somebody, and she, I guess, didn't need him this season. Who's she gonna turn to now? Avon? It's crazy.
I don't know. Maybe he's got a twin brother or something. I don't know.
Ooh, I'm okay with this. I like this.
Like reverse cornrows or something. I don't know.
I mean, we don't know what the trees are totally capable of. We popped a baby out of nothing.
That's true. We could make a twin.
This is true. I mean, it is sci-fi. I mean, Klein's kind of, I mean, technically he's come back, right? Even if it's in the green.
Yeah.
It's true. We just need the roots to, like, grow.
And the roots grew.
In Alvis.
And the roots grew us in Alvis.
Look, if you bathe in green and wish hard enough, that's what we learned.
Or like a baby Alvis gets born or something, yeah, with baby cornrows.
And it's got even less shirt.
Yeah, less shirt.
Little baby with a cape.
I want to talk about the cornrows and really the costuming. Did you, when you found out you were a monk but you were always shirtless, did you ever question that? That's so, as much as I love it, that's such a weird thing.
I didn't know I was going to have that costume until, I don't know, like 2 or 3 weeks before they started shooting. And it's like, uh-oh. Like, I mean, it was like winter was coming around. I wasn't really working on anything. And then I'm like, oh, great, I got to walk around with a shirt off. So that was kind of frightening. And the cornrows, as fun as they seem, that was probably the worst part about being Alvis, was the torture of having that done every single day. And then if I was shooting the next day, they would make me go home with those cornrows. And I'd forget, and I'd go for a coffee. People are like, what is wrong with you? I'm like, oh, it's not for me. It's costume. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I know
I was
had
like,
I had a
there's
point.
something I can see.
I
you
had a
wanna
point,
say.
and I was trying to think of what it was. But I think, like, here's the thing, and Yael, you'll appreciate this justification. I think it makes sense for the monk uniforms to have less clothing, because if the whole idea is to show your cuts and to show your scars is to prove that
Yes.
you're human, the more exposed skin, the more proof that you have that you're not a Hullen.
But they are the scar backs, and yet their backs are covered.
Covered, yeah.
Because
Yeah,
nobody
covered
wants
tattoos
to see.
too, right?
Yeah, and nobody wants to see the beautiful front all scarred. You know, we want to keep that all beautiful.
And those back tattoos take several hours to put on too. So I think there's just for the sake of time, they threw the cape on.
Yeah, the chat wants clarification. The cornrows aren't a wig, right?
That's
so
your
Ivan
hair.
wants to know.
The cornrows were mostly my hair. This season, the cornrows were pretty much all my hair. Last year, they used a bit of like they weaved in some different colored hair, like blonder hair.
I like when they put in blonder hair.
Well, you know, he's been out fighting more, so a little more sun. He's like the
A little more
hair's
sunny.
bleached.
Went to Cancun, got his hair done.
The Cancun of Crash. Are you a big sci-fi fan?
Oh yeah. I read a lot of fantasy. I grew up watching Star Trek with my dad every Sunday. You name it.
That's awesome. And so when you were you joined the team, you were like, this is gonna be awesome.
Yes, when I booked Killjoys, I was very excited. I was only supposed to do 2 episodes, and I ended up getting 3 seasons out of it. So it was a good ride for me, for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Alvis seems like it was a fun character to play. I always like the religious characters because it like characters that root themselves in, pun intended, in religion. I always find fascinating because it means that they had such a strong drive towards something. And I enjoyed that about Alvis. Like, he had a connection, even if
that's a good point. Yeah.
I think
Yeah, you always have to be kind of sure in your choices generally when you're playing someone that people look up to and who's for all, a leader,
yeah.
right? Whether you believe it or not, you have to pretend you know what you're doing.
I think that's one of the things that I love about Alvis is that he had all the answers. He just didn't realize that he had the answers, right? Like the whole mythology with the tree and the roots that grew and the actual cutting and the proof of the devil and the 12, and like he had all of the answers. We just had to put it together.
Yeah, which actually made me think, like, when he's handing out those knives, were you thinking at all, like, wait, are these knives going to turn out to be, like, some really special knives that can do, like, something
I thought there was going to be some sort of magical, like, dragon glass kind of attribute to it. And then, like, oh, no, I get stabbed by my own knife. There's some sort of irony in there, I think.
I love that you thought that there was magic in the knife when your line is the knives aren't magic.
I thought there's maybe some ancient Hullen kind of, I don't know. Your imagination goes off when you start reading these things.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we make a lot of crazy theories here on this show.
What?
I've heard
Crazy
some of them.
theories? Never.
Zach. And Steven, him and his theories. Oh, you too. Well, thank you so much, Morgan, for joining us. We love having you. Are there any final questions?
No,
From the
but
chat?
just I think in general, like, I think I speak for the chat. I speak for all of us. Like, we've enjoyed watching Alvis over these 3 seasons. Thank you for bringing him to life. We're very sorry to see you go.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And you guys have a great show there. I love it.
Oh, thank you. And if people want to keep up with you on social media, your Twitter is...
Morgan Sam?
Yeah, that's it.
Is it?
Yep.
I love how
Morgan Sam. Morgan Sam.
It's at Morgan Sam. What?
I love how many times that's happened. It's like, what's my Twitter? And Yale's like, I know what it is.
It's like, what's your phone number? He's like, I don't forget my phone number.
I don't have that one. But thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for Skyping in. I'm so bummed that Alvis didn't survive this season. I definitely thought he would go in war without his vest on. That's what I was looking forward to.
Who knows? He may be back. It is Sci-Fi, right?
That's true. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Let's get back to the show. We still have so much more to talk about.
Yes.
But let's keep on with the reckoning that happens, because I want to talk a little bit about Fancy and Turin. Fancy, the bigger man, goes and releases Turin and is like, we're done. This is over. I really like the idea of Reckoning Night, that it's not just like going and apologizing. It's, you say it now because you might die. Whatever it is, just say it. I think that's a really great concept. Feels real Jewy to me. Feels real Yom Kippur like.
All right, I see. I see what you're.
Yeah, one day to say sorry.
You gotta get your name in the book,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, it feels real Yom Kippur. Okay.
But I mean, look, the tradition makes sense. Like, I get it. It is cleansing your conscience, kind of thing. You know, it's
Yeah.
to toss the bread in the river.
Yep. But also we have this Gare Bear scene with Pri and Gare Bear. And I love this, where Garrett's all mad at him. And he's like, you're not going to say anything to me before you go. And Pri is like, it doesn't matter what you say. It matters that you come back to the people you love, and I'm coming back to you. And then he meets his mom. Like, what an amazing little scene to put in the middle of, we're all going to go to war and die. And I just really appreciated that. And it makes me love Gare Bear so much more. Were you not a fan of this scene? It didn't bother you or affect you in any way?
No, it was a fun. I enjoy their relationship.
I really like them. They're so cute together. Oh.
We have a Steven.
Steven?
They freaking killed him!
Yes, they killed him.
Have you guys already gone over the fact that they killed him?
Yeah, we talked about it with.
We just established that it's my fault that he's dead because he was shirtless, and that his shirt would have been.
Yeah.
He'd been wearing a shirt.
I was watching
He'd
the
be
episode, and I was
fine.
like, the one time he's not wearing something that might be able to stop a knife is when they kill him.
Yep. Well, a shirt can't stop a knife.
But, like, you do have to, like, question the fact that, like, the entire purpose of the Scarbacks cutting people to find out if they're immortal or not, like, and cutting themselves, like, is a defense mechanism to make sure they don't run into immortals. It is kind of ironic that he's killed by one.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that was definitely intentional. We were just talking about the idea behind Reckoning Night and how it's a really cool idea to say whatever you have to say, not just I'm sorry or, whatever, but to say whatever you have to.
It's like the purge, except emotional as opposed to murdering people.
It's an emotional purge.
Correct. But I don't know, I like the concept. I think it was a smart move, kind of like, the scene in Two Towers before the war starts, like where everything's very somber. It just really sets the mood before we're about to watch a finale,
Yeah, I agree.
And her killing of Alvis is kind of sparking the war. It's kind of like a signal that the war has started, and like the finale episode's probably going to be just really crazy.
It surprises me that Aniela would know that Alvis meant something to her. That was surprising, but we were just discussing before the episode, before we started talking on air, when did she switch? That's the question.
Here, the biggest part of that question is, did she switch before she made out with D'Avin?
I don't think they switched.
You think that just Aniela showed up at that moment to Alvis, not that they've taken
To murder
places?
Alvis.
I think Aniela's been there since Saya Kendry's been there.
Right. So then where that's when they switched. That's when Aniela took over Dutch's place, is when Kendry arrived.
Oh, I didn't think that she ever took over her place. I thought she was just there hiding in the wings,
Oh.
looking for an opportune movement to make a move. Because, like, I don't think it would make sense to switch. Plus, like, Dutch was getting super drunk. Like, now that Dutch is drunk and passed out, now Aniela can pretend to be her and fuck shit up. Pardon my language.
Interesting. Zach, what are you thinking?
So, like,
Zach has a face.
I
Hold
took
on.
it as I took the Alvis thing as happening while Dutch is hooking up with Avon.
Oh, so right before Aniela kills Alvis, Dutch says to the boys, hold on, I got to handle something or take care of something, and I'll meet you there. And we don't know what that is, but also Aniela's wearing the same outfit.
Yeah, I just
So
think,
you guys are under the impression that she switched a long time ago.
I'm trying to figure out when.
I don't think a long time. I think somewhere in the middle of this episode, and we're gonna find out next week. But I do think that like we saw some scenes that we read as Dutch,
And that they were Aniela.
yeah, not just that final scene.
I kind of feel like it might have been when Catan, when they crashed when they crashed Lucy, right? They wake up.
Yeah, that's interesting because she's knocked out a bit.
Yeah, that is the only time that I think would make sense.
The other time that makes sense is it was really out of character for Dutch to be complaining that the convertible she got on her 16th birthday was the wrong color. So that was really out of character. I kind of thought that was Aniela right then.
I love that you had tweeted this thing about Pip and Lucy.
Which one?
That Lucy just accepts the orders.
Yeah, she's like, you want me to alarm Dutch that the prisoner's awake? No, I got this. Next scene, the ship's crashing. Like she didn't do anything. Like, God.
Yeah,
come on.
It's surprising that Lucy didn't speak up. Like we're about to crash, you know.
Nothing.
It was very surprising.
I did like that they brought Pip back. I've liked that they've been bringing these characters back. They brought that was the blind girl with Alvis earlier in the episode,
Yep, that
correct?
was Quinn.
Yeah, no, it's good.
So,
I
yeah.
mean, it shows that this world that they live in is not just like the three of them.
Right.
Like everyone that they've saved so far, it's like it has all led to this point. Every action has helped a little bit.
I agree, and I think Pip coming back and that they need to find something. It makes complete sense. Like this is what he does: is he finds black market things, and so they use him for that. I don't like that they left him with her.
I was expecting a twist where this was all the implanted memory
Yeah.
that they had put in her head, that this was how they were going to get whatever they needed into like Aniela's brain. And I still think there might be something like that happening, but less so than I was in the middle of this episode. I was like, oh, I see what you did. I got it. I'm on board. And then I was like, oh no, that's not where we went with this.
I really, when they figured out this plan of, you know, luring Aniela into the prison cube, I think I was like, oh, good, they've come up with a new plan. And I didn't like that by the end of the episode, they're like, well, that plan's gone to hell.
Do you guys think there's a legit chance that we lose Dutch?
No. Steven?
I mean, I think, I don't think the show can continue without her. It's like, I think the characters could in some aspect, but like the show that is the show is so centered around her. Like, I think if Lovretta knew that she wasn't getting a third season and they told her that, fourth season, and they just told her that, like a long time ago and she can't say it, I'd be happy with a well-written and well-ended 3-season show. I just don't think it can continue without her.
Okay. I agree. I don't think it can go on without her. I think it needs to
but
be said.
Here's the thing, though, is, you know, the whole thing that they keep pushing down and trying to shove down our throats in the aspect of, like, Aniela is her original source and she's going to die if Aniela dies. Like, I think that turns out to be false. And the reason is that she's not green. She's not part of the green. She's made up she is Aniela. She's like a mirror image. She's not a copy. So, like, when you look at the DNA, you're not looking at Hullen DNA. You're looking at human DNA that's reversed. So it doesn't make sense that if she dies, then Dutch would die too, because there's no connection between the green between them. It's not a viral or bacterial connection. It's a deoxyribonucleic acid connection. It's something that's human.
Sure, that
Does
sounded
make
like
sense?
science words.
No, I agree though. I agree with you. I think that they're going to discover it's a mistake, and that that's not what happens, because you're right. She isn't. It's not original source and copy. It's same person. You know, yes.
I mean, I'm going to make a prediction here for you guys real quick.
All
that
right.
This is what I think is going to happen. Is that before Dutch kills Aniela, I think it'll happen in the finale. I think before Dutch kills Aniela, she's going to infect herself with the original source of the green that's above Aniela's.
Oh.
Because if Aniela dies and Dutch is now with a higher source of the green that's from the lady, then it wouldn't kill Dutch, because Dutch would now become the main one, and Aniela would be the secondary source. And then season 4 turns into Dutch fighting the green
lady.
within herself, as Aniela has been trying to do now that she knows the lady and everything. Well, now that she's aware of like her jail, it's going to be that dynamic, but with Dutch versus the lady, as opposed to Dutch versus Aniela, Aniela versus the lady. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I really like that prediction. I similarly think that if I could see it going down where Dutch is killing Aniela and something happens and the lady chooses to save Dutch because she's not crazy.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like we still don't know anything about the lady. All we know is she runs the Hullen and is trapped within the green. We don't know
What about
it's
what
Aniela
about
that
when
wants
Aniela
to...
dies, she doesn't die, and the lady takes over her body?
Maybe. I think we talked about that last episode.
Maybe, but like
the
we don't even know. Like for all we know, the lady is good, is like on our side.
Right, we have no idea.
She could we know that Aniela is against her, and Aniela is sort of our villain. So the enemy of my enemy kind of thing. Who knows? That could be how we wind up winning the war next week. Because I could totally see a situation where I stand by my prediction from last week that Aniela is going to use her library of sources to reactivate all the cleansed mid-battle. All of a sudden, you're going to see Fancy and the other pilots turn those ships around and stop fighting. But that the way that you supersede that is you get the lady to come in and be like, no, and then makes all of them swarm and kill Aniela or force her into a cube.
Interesting.
Get in that cube.
Let's talk a little bit about Kendry and her trying to parlay,
and her D'Avin baby.
Yeah.
Her baby.
Is that what we're calling it?
It's a baby. Yes.
The baby, yeah.
Baby, it is.
Ivan says Hullen aren't good, but that is not true. Hullen are just a different species, and Aniela is bad.
Yeah, I think that's what we've established, is that we don't know that Hullen are necessarily evil. They're just being led by evil, and they have hive mind.
Yeah, and
but you have to remember, absolute power corrupts absolutely, and if you have a race that's immortal and they can reproduce through means of themselves, then there's no other room for other races.
But here's the thing: is we know that they've been trying to take over humanity because they need humanity in order to reproduce.
Right.
But for all we know, if the lady is on the side of good, let's say, I could easily see a better world where the Hullen say, well, now we know how to reproduce on our own.
Right.
All right, we don't care about you anymore because you're beneath us. We're going to go off and just do our own thing.
So are you saying that that'd be a hard reset on the story, on the plot then?
It could.
Because if the Hullen are good, then there's no point in even including them in the show anymore. Season 4 becomes Killjoys again, and now bounty hunters in space.
Or that,
Take on a new
things have
villain.
changed.
or that there's a bigger bad. Like, here's the thing. Like, there is precedent in TV shows. I'm trying to think of a good example. I'll get one in a few minutes. But, like, of, like, the bad guys. I mean, think about, like, Spike on Buffy as, like, a smaller example.
Yeah.
Like, there's plenty of precedent for characters that have been even your biggest villain coming over to your side and fighting with you
Well, look at-
against a bigger new villain.
I have
or
a
just
better
saying-
example.
You're saying we're all
Clyde.
frogs in a well in this case? Like, maybe the lady is playing a bigger game against somebody outside of the quad and outside of that system?
It's possible.
That's one possibility, or like I always love when shows like that get really big in their villains, like the mysterious lady.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that's like a universe building like villain with like potentially devastating power levels, but like you could also like go back to basics and have a more intimate, problematic smaller scale problems that can still have explosions and warrants and all kinds of stuff, but your villain doesn't have to be mega powerful to be interesting.
But also back to your point about, the villain that we thought was bad and then turned out to not be that bad. Klein was the villain, and then it turned out that Klein wasn't that bad. He was trying to protect Dutch from Aniela. It's
Yeah, he's still kind of a bad guy, but even if like one of his intentions was good, he still murdered a lot of people.
Yeah, but haven't we all? I mean, look, whatever iteration the show goes into, if it doesn't have Pre and Garrett, then, like, what's the point?
Thank you. Zach doesn't seem to care about Gare Bear.
No, that was a cute scene. I love that that was his mom.
I love that was his mom. She's like, that's my mom. And she's a drunk.
That's your mom?
I love that.
She's a drunk.
She's a drunk.
It's a good thing he's marrying
my
a
favorite scene in the
bartender.
episode, I think.
Thank you. I as well. I'm really excited about this baby, the baby, and the idea that it's Davin and Aniela's.
So how did that, like, when did she get his DNA?
So when our team went to save the rack, attack the rack, and Johnny was being tortured, that's when they took their DNA samples.
Got it. That's right.
Yep.
And then she done spliced that DNA into a baby.
Yep.
Stuck
I want
it
to
in her
say
lover.
I have something real controversial to say. I like Zeph. I like her. She's grown on me this episode. I'm done hating Zeph.
Those of you listening, I've moved closer and I'm staring daggers at Yael. I don't even know what she's going to say yet.
I like Zeph. That's my controversial statement.
That's your controversial
Mark,
statement?
cut her mic. Mark, cut her mic.
I don't know. I like Zeph. Zeph
You
is
hated Zeph at the
I
beginning.
did. Well, I didn't like the whole, like, nerd versus nerd. And, like, not even that, like, that was the thing, but that they literally were calling it nerd versus nerd.
Right.
That was the thing I didn't like. I didn't dislike Zeph necessarily.
I hated Zeph at the beginning.
I wasn't, like, full on board, but, like, she's grown on me.
Like a fungus.
Whoa, I thought you liked this character
I really
now.
do. The scene where they're playing gynos was really fun. So her and Johnny dealing with baby stuff. And the baby was gross. It was just real gross when it was trying to reach out through her stomach.
Yeah, what was that?
So
I
gross.
gotta go, guys. But can I leave you with one last prediction?
No.
Go ahead.
I see them rushing to find the baby now that Aniela probably takes over the ship pretty well with where Delphia is. And I see like one of the final scenes of the season being like them finding Delphia dead, like with blood everywhere, and then they walk into another room and it shows the young girl who played Dutch putting on like clothing or something and turning around saying, "Hi, I'm the lady. Nice to meet you."
Interesting. I like your prediction. It sounds terrifying. Thank
Correct.
you, Stephen, for Skyping.
I think we're
in.
going to get
We are.
the Ally McBeal style little baby
Oh,
is going to
God.
pop up when she gives
The
birth and
dancing
it's going to
baby.
turn like, I'm the
Good
lady.
Thank you, Stephen, for calling in, and we'll see you for the finale.
For sure. All right, guys. Take care.
Bye. So, with the way the episode ends,
the chat, by the way, on this Zeph debate.
Yeah.
Renji said, I liked Zeph since day one.
Okay.
So Zeph has her fans. Jacob says, and that apostrophe is in there.
Nice.
Zeph grew on me.
Yep.
Ivan, I don't think we can trust you anymore. I don't. You hate Zeph and you love Pip?
Oh, okay.
No.
Nope.
You just lost your right to judge Zeph. Like Pip.
No one likes Pip.
Pip's a piece of garbage.
You know what though? They made me like.
He's fun.
They
Like
made me
I'll
like
admit, like I
Jelko.
like that he came back, but like, fuck you, Pip.
Yeah. The way the episode.
Pip.
Okay, calm down. The way the episode ended before the heartbreaking death of Alvis, Johnny knows what the plan is, and Avin tells it like it's like, so we're gonna try to save her, and he's like, yep. Like they're gonna let her think she's doing what she's doing. And that's how the episode ends. I think we might as well head into predictions then.
Because we haven't been doing that.
I haven't. I try to
And
hold off.
now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
So, I don't know if you saw the promo for next week, but the war begins. I think that I want the hack mods to come back and be part of the war.
Yeah, they have to, right? Like we've set up the hack mods
Right,
to
as
be
part of
a
the
thing.
yeah. So in the promo, it's mostly a lot of our people running. So you see Pre and Garrett running, and you see monks. You see all the people running around fighting and shooting. And it looked like Dutch is trapped in some sort of prison. And Kendry gets free somehow. So, and at the end of the episode, she looked
Dutch or Aniela?
in
have
the
no
prison,
way
it
of
looked like
knowing.
Dutch. Oh, one thing that we definitely did not mention, I'm really upset that I missed, I apologize, was Tom Allison singing. That was Tom Allison, the man who plays Pre, singing so beautifully in the episode. That very much needs to be acknowledged and addressed and appreciated. And everyone keeps asking about where they can find his version of that song. It's not yet available online as of earlier today.
Tweet at Sci-Fi, at Killjoys, at Tom Allison.
Well, Tom has nothing to do with it, but definitely tweet at Killjoys.
But yeah, but I know he'll appreciate
Yes.
it. So that's why I'm saying to tweet him.
Also, he has an album on iTunes, so
He does?
he's amazing. He tweeted about it earlier. Are you
iTunes.
gonna look it up? Awesome.
I mean, I was making a show of it.
Oh, I thought you
But
were
we're in
gonna
the
look it
middle.
up right now.
We're in the middle of taping a podcast.
I guess.
I'll look it up later.
All right. My only prediction was that the hack mods show up. That's all I got. I also think we might lose some characters. Not necessarily part of our team.
I just to read it, I don't disagree. I mean, some people are gonna die. It's just a question of who. I worry for Pre and Garrett.
Now that they've said I love you.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, watch out, Garrett!
No, Care Bear! Yeah, no, I agree. Of the two of them, I don't want either of them to die, but I could lose Care Bear. I can't
Well,
lose
over
Pre.
Pre,
I
think
can't lose Pre.
I don't think they can take Alvis and Pre unless they really want to shake up season 4.
No.
Like unless we're like going bare bones back to square one.
No, it can't be that you've 3 seasons built a team and then decided, screw it, let's kill the team. I would be so angry. Anyway.
I mean, if
Any other predictions?
I mean, I stand by what I was saying before. I think that the cleansed are going to be reactivated. That library, there had to be a reason for that library scene.
Yes.
And there could be another purpose to it that we haven't seen yet. That's my prediction on it.
Okay.
And I think we're gonna be like the army is going to be wrecked by Aniela until it's like that. It's the Ender's Game scenario where you just like you have to take out one, like it's an overwhelming force, but you have to take out the linchpin, and then the entire army will crumble, and that's what happens when you kill Aniela. The question is how they might be able to protect. Oh, what if the cube severs the connection, like blocks the connection to Aniela, in the sense that like if Dutch hides in there when they kill her,
she'd be fine.
Yeah.
It's possible.
We don't even know how they're connected like that. Like
Nope.
what weird.
There's so many things we don't know.
Sci-fi mumbo jumbo like fake science words combine to explain how you're actually tied to your original pool.
Yeah. Excellent questions.
So if we can figure out how they're connected, we can also figure out how to block that connection from actually killing you.
Excellent questions. I got nothing.
I want to know. I want to know.
Well, thank you, Zach, for joining me. Thank you, Steven, for calling in. And thank you, Morgan, for Skyping with us. Yay! I'm so bummed about Alvis. There was like a guaranteed shirtless character.
Calm down. Somebody else will take off their shirt.
Yeah, but every once in a while.
Evan and Dutch are like maybe going at it. Like, trust me, one of them will like at least remove like a shirt.
It's fine. I'll allow that. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. We will return for the finale next week. We will not be live, unfortunately.
Yes, due to some scheduling, we'll be pre-taping the show, but you will be able to watch it broadcast live at the same time next week, 5 o'clock Sunday.
Pacific time.
Yes, Sunday the 3rd.
Yep. But until then, Zach, where can people find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram, all social media, at that Zach Wilson. That's Zach with a CH. And if you haven't already, if you're binging or just catching up on The Defenders, the new Netflix Marvel show, I covered it with AfterBuzz with a fantastic panel. We've already taped all 4 after shows for it. You can find them on iTunes and on YouTube. It was a lot of fun. Show was crazy. Check it out.
I'm Yael Tygiel. I'm everywhere at Yael Tygiel. That's YAELTYGIEL. And if you are at Fan Expo in Canada next week, you better come say hello, because I will be mad if I miss you. Yep.
I'm jealous.
You should be. And thank you so much for joining us. We love Killjoys. Be tweeting at Sci-Fi. Renew Killjoys. Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
And the roots grew.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.